You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Trump loses it as Republicans revolt, based on an article by Nick Hilden. Trump turns housing into hostage politics. Housing is leverage. The source is straightforward. Congress passed a bipartisan housing bill, the White House received it, and Trump used the moment to stage a tantrum over his own election-overhaul wish list. That is the story. Not a policy disagreement, not a complicated negotiation, but a president trying to convert an affordability bill into pressure on Republicans and the Senate to do his bidding. The housing legislation, the 21st Century Road to Housing Act, matters because housing affordability is a real material crisis. Trump's response was to call it a yawn. That is not incidental contempt. It is a reveal. Who actually holds power? Trump is the central actor here because he still has the bully pulpit and the ability to shape Republican obedience. Mike Johnson is not a bystander either. By sending the bipartisan bill to Trump's desk and proceeding with the ceremony until Trump abruptly blew it up, he demonstrated the modern Republican function: absorb the president's chaos and keep the machinery moving around it. The Senate is also part of the picture, but not as a neutral institution trapped in confusion. The source says Republicans have not passed Trump's Save America Act, and Trump is rage-boosting in response. That means the bottleneck is not some mysterious system failure. It is a political coalition confronting the fact that its leader wants election rules bent to his preferences, and not everyone is willing to sprint off the cliff with him. The misdirection is the point. Trump's rant is full of deliberate misdirection. He treats a housing bill as collateral damage in a fight over election manipulation. He frames his demand as if the real scandal is Republican hesitation, not the authoritarian logic of using a serious threat to pressure politicians into passing legislation that he says would serve true Republicans. That is how power laundering works. Harm is repackaged as procedural urgency. Corruption is dressed up as party discipline, and the blame gets shifted onto Democrats, the filibuster, or unnamed weaklings who supposedly failed to act, while the actual decision maker is sitting in the presidency making threats in all caps. The weakest link is not the enemy. The source notes Trump called Democrats Democrats, then bragged that if they retake power they would end the filibuster first. That is not political analysis. It is projection. It is telling on a movement that has no interest in governing normally if it can instead rewrite the rules to preserve minority power and punish opponents. The more revealing detail is that the housing bill has a veto-proof majority. In other words, Trump's tantrum does not control the outcome. He is performing dominance for his base and for Republican officials who still mistake compliance for strategy. The bill becomes law anyway. The performance is the point. What this story actually shows. This is not just about one housing bill or one unhinged post. It is about a governing party that keeps treating democratic institutions as instruments to be broken, banned, or blackmailed whenever they fail to produce the preferred result. Housing policy is subordinated to election sabotage. Public needs are reduced to bargaining chips. The presidency is used less as an office of administration than as a pressure system for forced loyalty. Catherine Clark's line that Trump doesn't give a damn about you is blunt, and the source supports it. But the larger truth is sharper. He does not have to care when the institution surrounding him keeps absorbing the damage. That is the pattern. Authoritarian politics does not always arrive as a coup. Sometimes it arrives as a president sneering at housing while demanding the machinery of democracy be retooled to suit him. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article. With the automated voice of Arctic, thanks for listening.